Hello everyone and welcome to the DevScope channel. Join me today as we learn more about dynamically removing columns and top rows. So as you can see in this example, we have a sample table that has some extra blank columns that we want to remove. And in this case, we're going to do this dynamically. So our first step here is to get the names of every column. To do so, we can use this function, that is the table.columnNames, and we will get a list with all of the column names. So in this case, we want to remove columns, so we need to filter this list for the columns we want to remove. In this case, we can see a pattern in them, and we can see that they all start with column. So to filter this list, we're going to use a function called list.findText, and we are going to find the word column. So just like this, we have the list filtered for the columns we want to remove. So the only thing left to do here is to copy this expression. Let's delete this step we no longer need. And now let's just remove one column to get the M expression we need. Now table.remove columns, right? And then we're going to replace this list with our expression. And as you can see, we have removed all the columns that we don't need. Now we can even add some columns, for example, another columns here, do an insert, another one. Now we have a couple more columns. We can press OK, and if we go again, we will see that all the columns have been removed. They just have to obey the rule containing the word column in them, and they will for sure be deleted. But we can go about this in another way. Instead of removing the columns, we can select the columns we want to keep. So this will be very similar to the approach, but with just some minor differences. So our first step is going to be the same. So we're going to get the column names. And now we want to filter for the ones we want to keep, right? In this specific case, we are looking at a forecast file where we have the customer account manager KPI and then the columns with the values for each month. So these columns will be different from file to file. In this case, we have 2023, but we could have 2024. So we have to take that into account. So let's first focus on getting these columns, right? So again, we're going to use the list.findText function. And now we are going to search for the common pattern that is 0, 1, /. So no matter what month or year there is, you'll always find these columns. So in this case, we already have these columns that will change from file to file, but we also need the ones that are fixed, right? To do so, we will use a new function that is the list.combine. And with this function, we basically combine two lists. One with the fixed columns, right? So we have customer, account manager, and KPI. And the other one with the dynamic columns. And in this way, we are able to get all the column names we want to keep. So the only thing left to do here is to copy the expression. We can delete this step. And now, instead of removing columns, we're going to choose remove other columns. And now we're going to replace this list with our expression. So, as you can see, we have all the columns we want. So we can even do some changes over here. For example, let's add a new column first. We will add a new blank column, for example, and as you can see, it is still removed. And now, even if we, for example, change the columns for the months, let's say, for example, instead of 2023, we have 2024. Let's just quickly change that. are. Okay, that's it. So instead of 2023, now we have 2024, right? And just have to press OK. And as you can see, it still works just fine. Now let's go to our last example, removing top rows dynamically. So if you take a look here, in this case we have this file that has some extra top rows that we want to remove. Our first approach would be just remove rows, remove top rows. In this case we know that there are 5. We select the number 5 and it works just fine. But let's say, for example, someone edits the file and adds a new row. Let's say, for example, insert, and now we have another row. Since this is a hard-coded number, this will no longer work and we still have a blank row. So a way to avoid this issue is, in this case, just deleting the number and write each, in this case will be column 1, and we want it to be different from client. So this way it will remove all the top rows that are different from the word client, and as you can see, it removed the extra blank row. So no matter what rows are above client, it could be less or more rows. For example, we can insert a couple more. It will always delete the top rows that are different from client. In this case, we now have 8 top rows that we want to remove, and it will remove all of them. This is all for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe and stay tuned for future videos.